There's a way to make an entrance.
This is my destiny.
It was now a conspiracy of witches.
Download Veely today.
No matter where you are in the world, if you're Australian and things go wrong, there's always one place you can turn: the embassy. Tonight on the show,
this guy Samuel's been arrested for teaching English without a proper permit.
they were busted in a late-night police raid,
I don't know how to get myself out of this mess.
and now their lawyer is missing.
We paid 8,000 Australian dollars. He's just nowhere to be seen.
Fucking pissed off.
Hipster Dan has been caught red-handed.
I was just going to get an emergency passport to get me home.
The problem is, you know where the passport is, and so do we.
And he blew all of his superannuation on sex.
It turned out that I was an ATM. She wanted $20,000 a month for sex.
Sailor Rob is lost at sea without a lifeboat.
Paying for sex should have been, the red light for Rob to think, yep, no, there's something not quite right here.
The morning rush hour, Bangkok. At the embassy, Trudy's just received an email from a young Aussie in real strife.
This guy Samuel's been arrested for teaching English without a proper permit.
This is Sam, and this is Sam's fiancée, Sandra. She's also under arrest for the same crime. Trudy calls B, who's in Chiang Mai.
B's already in Chiang Mai on another case, so it's really good opportunity for him to see Sam, not only to give Sam some advice, but to give Sam some reassurance. I've got another case for you. You mind to stay a bit longer and deal with this one? B's a Thai guy, but his heart's in Australia, so he's the perfect person to see Sam today. Thanks, B. Bye. The same as Australia has immigration laws that are strict, so do Thailand. Just because it's a friendly, laid-back seeming country doesn't mean they don't have rules.
And when those rules are broken, it's big news. The case is already making headlines. This is the official police mugshot. Sam, Sandra, and 15 other teachers, all from the same company, all under arrest.
This company was employing people from all over the world. So there wasn't just Sam from Australia, there's Germans, Canadians, English people. So there's quite a few embassies involved in this case.
Hi, I'm B.
And therein lies Sam and Sandra's problem. Sandra is German, Sam is Aussie.
How long you guys been together?
2 years.
Oh, okay.
So we got engaged here in Thailand.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So if they get deported, she'll be sent back to Germany, and Sam will be booted back to Oz.
Thinking about going to Thailand to teach English is a bit of a dream and on lots of people's bucket list, but you don't think about the eventuality of getting arrested and maybe having your fiancé sent back to a different country to you.
Here's how the arrest unfolded.
At about 1 o'clock, we were taken to Mapping police station. We were escorted by the police, all 17 of us, put into a holding cell or a jail with everyone and other Thai people.
Okay.
Prisoners, I guess.
After a few terrifying hours, Sam and Sandra were released on bail, but they're now facing serious charges. The maximum sentence for working illegally in Thailand is 5 years jail.
It's not what we signed up for. We signed up to work at what we thought is a legal company, and now we've just been misled.
Until now, their only support has been the company's lawyer, the same company that told them everything would be A-OK.
I don't think that the company lawyer is working for you now. I don't think they take your best interest at heart. The reason why Sam should not use the company lawyer because the company lawyer works for his company. The most important thing now for you two is actually get your own lawyer. You got a lot to lose. Sam's case proves that horrible things can happen to the nicest people.
In the embassy's waiting room, there's a steady stream of holidaymakers in need of help. Hipster Dan has flown in from the party island of Koh Samui. He wants a new passport.
I have my passport stolen in Koh Samui and I'm heading to emergency one because I'm flying home in a few days.
Dan, he's the one on the right with the man bun, came to Thailand with his best mates from Brisbane.
Basically, we came over for a bit of a holiday with the boys, went to the full moon party in Koh Phangan. We're actually staying in Koh Samui and just went there for the full moon party.
The full moon party, where you can let your hair down no matter what age you are. And where the music and booze only stops when you do. And this is when the music stopped for Dan, when he hired a scooter and had his passport stolen.
If I can just get a temporary passport, leave the country when I'm supposed to, and then apply for a full passport when I get home.
He needs to get back to work in Brisbane in 2 days' time. But Dan is a man with a big Koh Samui secret. Back in Chiang Mai, Aussie Sam and fiancée Sandra are spending what could be their last days together. They're both facing serious jail time for teaching English without a work permit.
We chose Thailand because we love being here. This is our place where we met, where we fell in love.
It's all gone.
Sam and Sandra were told that the company they worked for had organised all of the necessary paperwork.
I wouldn't have risked potential jail time, which we are facing, fines, or we have been to jail. I wouldn't have risked that for 30,000 baht a month, $1,000 a month. Yeah, I don't know how to get myself out of this mess.
Sam's got 3 options. He can try and fight his company in the courts, take a long time, risky, costly. He can try and fight the Thai immigration system, unlikely to win. Or he can plead guilty and take voluntary deportation. Worst case scenario for Sam could be up to 5 years in jail, a really big fine, and probably being deported.
Pleading guilty when you know you are innocent is one thing. Deportation, well, that means separation. Sam rings his dad in Australia.
We can tell the court that we're deeply apologetic, we didn't understand what we're doing. You know, people with what we thought had the knowledge told us that this is okay. Which is really the only choice, you know.
Coming up,
Dan's lying to us.
Hipster Dan has been caught red-handed.
The problem is, you know where the passport is.
What is he hiding? And she was here visiting her grandkids.
She's taken a step back and just fallen straight back.
Irene's cross-border medevac crisis.
We don't know yet how bad this could be.
At the embassy in Bangkok, Hipster Dan has applied for a new emergency passport. He claims his original was stolen.
Julie! Yeah?
But that's not quite true.
Daniel!
Yeah, can you remember him? Yes, I got an email from Terry on Monday. He's just at the counter.
Oh, okay.
He said that
What's he saying?
his passport lost or stolen at Koh Samui. I think he's lying with that.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. See you.
Dan's telling us that his passport's lost. We know otherwise. We've received a fax from Koh Samui advising us that Dan's passport is in fact in Koh Samui. Dan's lying to us. So it's going to be, a bit of an interesting conversation with Daniel to see what he's got to say for himself.
Hey, Daniel. I'm Julie.
Daniel.
Pleased to meet you.
You too.
Hipster Dan is in for a big surprise.
So you came in today wanting to get a new passport?
I was just going to get an emergency passport to get me home because I don't have all the details and I'm flying out on the 12th, first thing in the morning from Phuket.
Yep.
So then when I get home, I was going to get all my documents and apply for a normal passport.
The problem is, you know where the passport is, and so do we.
It's pretty serious to lie to the embassy. Sometimes we're your only friend in Thailand, so you got to tell us the truth.
In Chiang Mai, Sam and Sandra are waiting for their new Thai lawyer to turn up. They've teamed up with 2 other teachers who are also facing jail time for working without visas. They are all tired, all upset, and now the lawyer has gone missing.
Just don't know what to think. I'm stressed. Don't know who to trust.
We've all come together and we've paid a literal bucket load of money for this guy, you know. 8,000 Australian dollars it cost us for all four of us, you know. There's just nowhere to be seen.
Sam calls the embassy for advice. They don't know who in Chiang Mai they can turn to.
Hello, Kirsten speaking.
So the lawyer gave us a call late last night and told us that we should turn up to a restaurant with the maximum penalty in cash, 400,000 baht.
400,000 baht is over 15,000 Aussie dollars.
It doesn't seem right to me.
When someone asks you to show up with a suitcase full of money, that sounds like something from a gangster movie.
Sam and Sandra are due to front up to the police later today.
Now, you're still going to turn up to the police station, aren't you?
He's saying that we have to meet the immigration now.
What I suggest you do is still go to the police station. They've said that they'll explain the process to you. But certainly don't hand any money over to anyone until we get to the bottom of this.
It's good advice. Kirsten consults with colleague Giab about who else might be able to help.
We have that one Australian volunteer, very good man that I will call Larry and see that if he can help to be the interpreter. Maybe it's good because he's the Australian and he's very, very nice guy.
Meanwhile, surprise, surprise, the lawyer has finally turned up. And he's got official statements for everyone to sign. Problem is, they're all in Thai.
What exactly are we signing here?
Okay. With this letter, you have number 1, the ticket. Number 2, the letter from embassy or consulate.
Are you happy signing any of these documents?
A fabricated letter from the Australian Embassy, as dodgy as an overpriced lawyer.
The truth of the matter is what we're signing is a sworn statement which is incorrect. Like, we don't have a flight book, we don't have this authority from the embassy, you know, so it doesn't feel good. We don't know who to trust, you know.
Lawyer after dodgy lawyer. Can things get any worse? Back in Bangkok, hipster Dan's in a sticky situation.
The passport isn't stolen.
He's been caught red-handed lying about his passport.
You know where it is, and so do we.
He said it was stolen.
You know, it is quite a big deal. It is actually a criminal offence, you know, making false statements and misleading information, you know, and you're lying to the Australian government.
Time for Dan to fess up.
We were in Koh Samui, decided it'd be a good idea to hire scooters.
Yep.
And the scooter fella wouldn't hire them to us if we didn't give him the passport. And the one that I was riding got stolen. So get back to the rental guy and said, oh look, the scooter's gone missing. And he's said, oh, 56,000 baht is how much it cost.
That's nearly 2,500 Aussie dollars. What's more, Dan's convinced the owner of the rental company is the one who stole the bike off him in the first place. It's a tourist scam.
Renting scooters, it's the bane of our existence. Australians come over, they think it's a wonderful idea to hire a scooter and, you know, that's the best way to see Thailand, but you don't leave your passport as security. It's dangerous. Your passport is property of the Australian government. You do not leave it with anybody else.
The tourist police liaison lady, she goes, oh look, in the last month he's come in about 4 or 5 times with exactly the same thing. Your best bet is just to go to Bangkok, get another passport and then go home from there. I thought I could just get an emergency passport and write off the other one. And
No. The problem that we have is because it's still a valid document and we all know where it is, we're not allowed to issue you another one.
So Dan's been given a bum steer and the embassy's hands are tied.
We don't know who's telling the truth or who's lying. You know, it's one person's word against the other. It's up to you to negotiate with the higher place.
Yeah.
That's all we can suggest at the moment. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I know it's difficult.
Hipster Dan has no option but to head back to Koh Samui and the scene of the crime. Coming up.
You were actually found working without a work permit.
Young love at the mercy of police.
Very sorry for what we've done.
Will they end up in the slammer? And Sailor Rob hits the rocks.
She wanted 20,000 baht a month. protect.
What happens when the money runs out?
Let me check your passport.
Passport was thrown in the river.
When relationships go bad in Thailand, it can be really scary.
I look at her now, I think I'm a gold digger.
Chiang Mai, Thailand's northern capital. Nirvana for some, hell for others. At police headquarters, Aussie teacher Sam, fiancée Sandra and their fellow teachers are here for a meeting with the top brass. They've ditched their dodgy lawyer and decided to face the music alone. They could be facing up to 5 years jail.
If you move to a different country, you've got to accept that the rules and regulations and the laws are going to be different, even if they might seem strict by our standards.
The embassy has arranged for Aussie expat Larry, who volunteers with the local tourist police, to help translate.
The charge is you were actually found working without a work permit. You accept that?
Yes.
Charge?
I guess we just have all been very scared and everyone's giving us very intense information.
I feel very sad for Sam because he did everything in good faith. He wasn't looking for trouble.
We're very sorry for what we've done, we know that.
A heartfelt apology counts for a lot in Thailand, but will it be enough to keep Sam and Sandra out of jail? To everyone's surprise and huge relief, it works. The police chief announces they won't be serving prison time.
You'll just receive a fine for the offence because it's not a major offence, but it's still offence under Thai law.
And better still, there'll be no deportation.
Don't worry, around about 10,000 baht, which is in Australian dollars about $400. Once that's happened, then you're fined and then you're free to stay in Thailand or extend your visa, whatever.
That's 300 Aussie dollars versus 15,000 their dodgy ex-lawyer wanted to charge.
If the police decide to drop the charges, that's one thing, but immigration still has to be happy with what Sam's status in the country is. Do they want to send him home? Do they want him to stay there? It's up to immigration.
Amazing. It's good that we're going to be free. Plus, the exorbitant fee that we were being told is being paid has just dramatically reduced to something that is actually achievable for all of us, you know.
So, has Sandra and Sam's romantic dream survived against the odds?
Life's good. Continuing to live the dream in Chiang Mai, here in sunny Chiang Mai.
Or is it just too good to be true? Party Central, Koh Samui. Dan is on his way to the scooter rental company that he says is trying to rip him off. He needs to get his passport back.
I'm just getting to the bike shop now. These are the guys that have my passport and that reckons that the bike got stolen from me.
And he's recording it all on his iPhone.
Dan's made the #1 mistake when renting a motorbike in Thailand. He shouldn't have left his passport because that leaves him open to all kinds of things.
You guys have my passport?
You rent a motorbike?
Yeah, I rent a motorbike and the other fella, he told me it got stolen, but it didn't. I know.
Don't leave your passport with anyone, ever.
You talk with?
Yeah, I talked to him and then he's trying to say that it got stolen when you guys have the key. It's still here.
Dan's put on the phone to the bike shop owner, and diplomacy goes straight out the window.
You've been to the police station almost every week for the last month. You're telling people that these bikes have been stolen. You've still got the key here for this bike. You scam people all the time and you're trying to scam me. You do realise you've stolen my passport.
The owner of the motorbike company agrees to meet Dan at the police station, but no filming is allowed. 3 hours later, and Dan's got his passport, but only after forking out a whopping $1,500. He's fuming.
So I've just left the cop shop, pretty fucking pissed off. I just paid the dickhead 38,000 baht for a scooter that's clearly stolen back off me. The only good thing I can say is at least I got both sets of keys for the scooter, so he's gonna have to pay at least $100 or so to get them replaced.
I'm pretty sure we'll see the next hipster Dan walk through these doors probably in the next few days.
That's just how it goes.
Wise words from the hipster. A new day and another broken dream. After a major bust-up with his girlfriend, 63-year-old sailor Rob from Tasmania is on his way to the embassy in Bangkok, desperate for help. This small backpack of belongings and his swag is all he's got left to his name.
There's a lot of love gone wrong and heartbreak that we see every day at the embassy. Every day, at least 4 or 5 cases, will be something about a love story that hasn't had a happy ending.
Oh, I first came to Thailand 4 years ago. Met a girl, and she wasn't a bar girl. Wasn't the typical bar girl.
Yes, he met her in a bar, but Rob fell hard for the 39-year-old village girl. After a few months together, Rob moved back with Mam to a village where he discovered that his new love had 3 children and a grandchild, all counting on his support.
At the end of the day, I think there was about 8 people living in the house.
Wow.
Rob had a few bucks saved from his days in the Navy, but within months, it was all gone. He says on renovating his girlfriend's house and buying whatever the family needed. A grand total of $200,000.
What I thought I was doing was helping, and she was helping me. She said she was going to look after the day I die. And I believed her. She was pretty, looked after me, but it was only while the money was flowing. That's the bad thing. It turned out that I was an ATM.
And when the ATM ran out of cash, so did the love.
Sex dried up. She wanted 20,000 baht a month for sex. Minimum.
That's 650 Aussie dollars a month, or $21 a day.
They told me if I ever wanted to leave, it would cost me 3 million baht. I packed the swag and headed for the hills. I had to leave at, nearly about 3:30 in the morning.
Rob says that he had to escape under the cover of darkness.
I walked 41 kilometres in one day.
I believe him. Sometimes when relationships go bad in Thailand, it can be really scary.
Rob's got nowhere left to go but home.
Oh, let me check your passport.
The passport was thrown in the river, and I rescued that.
Okay, so we're going to have to get you to apply for an emergency passport to get you out of the country because this is, too water damage to be able to be used.
Without a cent to his name and no passport, Rob drops another bombshell. He's overstayed his visa.
What's your overstay? How long have you been?
Long.
Long time. So when you say long time, what are we talking?
Nearly 2 years.
Coming up.
She's taken a step back and just fallen straight backwards and hit her head.
She tripped while she was shopping.
They can airlift her straight out of the hospital.
Irene's cross-border medevac crisis. At the embassy in Bangkok, sailor Rob's still reeling from how he was fleeced.
Every day for at least 4 days, 3 or 4 men appeared at the front door.
He's got no money, no passport and no ticket home after being milked by his Thai girlfriend to the tune of $200,000.
Rob's got a very familiar story. He's been building a house with his Thai girlfriend for 2 years. When the money ran out and the house was finished, in moved the family, out moved Rob.
In Australia, similar things happen, but not to the degree that happens here. In Australia, you just lose 50% of everything you have.
He's also illegal, and in Thailand, that can mean jail time.
He has overstayed his visa by 2 years.
If he gets arrested, if he comes to the police attention for any reason, he'll be taken straight to the Immigration Detention Centre, and he could be there for a while until it's sorted out.
So that changes the case. It's a lot more urgent for us to get him out of the country.
It's more bad news for sailor Rob.
It's a maximum fine of 20,000 baht. Even by presenting yourself at the airport and paying that way, you will be blacklisted for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
That would put an end to any chance Rob has of a reconciliation with his girlfriend. You can never say never in Thailand.
That's just the law.
But to get out of the country, he will need 1,800 Aussie dollars to pay for his flights and fines. Money he just does not have.
I've still got a little bit of superannuation,
Oh, excellent.
but no money.
Often we have to call family members and ask for money for people to go home, and it's never a nice job. Often you hear these people have done this time and time again.
And guess what?
I've ruined it with my family.
Your family back home in Australia?
I'm the black sheep.
Is Sailor Rob sunk? Asia can sometimes seem like a dog-eat-dog world. But at the embassy in Laos, it's all love, love, love.
Look at Mimi.
A puppy has turned up in need of a new home.
Oh, gorgeous. I think I have to hold it.
But adoption will have to wait. Emergency stop for no one.
An Australian woman has been transferred to your hospital with back injuries. Hello, can you hear me? We had a telephone call from Vientiane Rescue Service, the ambulance here, and they said you had a fall. We just wanted to see if you're okay.
I couldn't get up, so the rescue service came.
Irene and husband Daryl are here in Laos visiting their grandkids. Their son works for an Aussie mining company based here.
She's taken a step back and just fallen straight backwards and hit her head, and then she couldn't get up.
Laos can't provide Irene with the hospital care she so urgently needs.
When I hear spinal injury in Laos, I just cringe because Laos doesn't have any medical facilities available. Certainly not for a back injury or, if she's hit her head, for a head injury.
Jodie's priority is to get Irene out of the country and into Thailand.
I'd feel far more comfortable if she's at Bangkok Hospital. They'll be able to do scans on her brain if she's hit her head.
Bangkok Hospital is not in Bangkok, but a 1-hour drive across the border into Thailand, in the city of Udon Thani.
Hello, Daryl, is that you?
Jodie calls husband Daryl after arranging the Medivac. Luckily, they've got medical insurance.
I'm just letting you know that I've spoken to our doctor here. Bangkok Hospital is probably the best option at this point because if it is serious, they can airlift her straight out of the hospital. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but at least you've got that option.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
No
I appreciate it ever so much.
Okay, that's fine. I can call you later if you need, okay?
She briefs Kirsten at the embassy in Bangkok.
Right. She hadn't yet had any treatment. She hadn't had an X-ray. She hadn't had a scan. They hadn't given her any painkillers, which is why our first priority was to get her out of there.
Okay, so were you making arrangements for the transfer?
They agree. Jodie will keep managing the case from Laos.
They'll speak to you in about an hour or so?
Once a case transfers over the border into Thailand, that becomes the Australian Embassy in Bangkok's consular case. In this situation, it's a little bit different because Udon Thani is 45 minutes from Laos, whereas it's a flight for the Bangkok embassy. This could be very, very serious. I mean, if she's broken her back, if she's hit her head, that perhaps there's brain damage. I mean, we don't know yet how bad this could be.
At a budget Bangkok hostel just down the road from the embassy.
That's the front of the house.
Rob's had plenty of time to reflect on how his romance and bank balance have flatlined.
As you can see, she got braces. She went to town one day, come home with braces on. Then I found out 39,000 baht she spent that day on getting her braces because she wanted them that day.
Mam's cosmetic makeover was just the tip of the iceberg. Rob poured thousands of dollars into upgrading his girlfriend's house.
The gate was self-opening. When that was installed, half the village came to see, oh, it opens automatically. But then I found out a few weeks later that the ex-husband lived about 100 metres away. I look at her now and think of a gold digger.
Meanwhile, at the embassy, Julie's been trying to contact Rob's family in Australia. Without a cent to his name, Rob needs their help to get home. But just as he feared, it's bad news.
I did get an email from your sister to say that they didn't want to talk to you on the phone.
It was much. I'll told you I was a black sheep.
So I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of that news.
They didn't cause it, I caused it. Once I had a breakdown, I woke up and in the afternoon, one afternoon, I just decided I was going to just quit everything. And they didn't hear from me again for nearly 2 years. So.
Rob's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and so is the embassy. He's here illegally and could be caught and jailed at any moment.
It is important for us to see him safely out of Thailand. We don't want to see him locked up. We don't want to have to go and visit him in a detention centre. You know, we want to be able to walk him into the airport, you know, pay the visa overstay fines and then onto the plane and back to Australia.
To make matters worse, he's far from well.
I've got a growth in my stomach, I've got a hernia, I've lost the sight in one eye, right eye.
And he's been getting threatening emails from his ex.
I know I'm a foreign in a foreign country, or an Australian in a foreign country, but I didn't think I'd be that quickly traced. But a little bit, you get an email and we know where you are.
All right, well, it sounds like we need to try and get you back to Australia as soon as we can.
Julie will need to call Rob's sister and plead his case.
I'll go back and let her know of all those issues.
She'll need all the diplomatic skills she can muster.
Sometimes it's hard to be that person who makes that phone call. I think it must be hard for him as well to go back to somebody that you haven't spoken to for a long time and ask for money. I get the sense that it's not easy for him, but he's got no other way.
Coming up.
Scans have shown that she has a compressed fracture of her spine.
A cross-border race against the clock.
Irene is starting to unravel.
And will Sailor Rob's family bail him out one last time?
We've got some good news.
And some bad news.
Udon Thani, Thailand. Consular Officer Jody has arrived at Bangkok Hospital. Management is all out in force to meet the visiting diplomat.
Nice to meet you. My name's John.
But Jody's priority is Aussie grandmother Irene.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Irene seems okay.
You look all right. How you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad.
A lot better than expected.
What happened with the scans?
It showed that I had a compression fracture.
The scans have shown that she has a compressed fracture of her spine, which is the bad news. She's in a lot of pain and she's trying to be strong for everyone.
It was a bit scary because people wanted to come and help me up, but I was in so much pain and I knew something was wrong with my back.
I thought you'd hit your head.
I didn't hit my head and I had my phone in my hand and didn't drop my phone.
Well, that's
so
important.
That was the truth.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the phone. Critical.
My head's okay and my phone's okay.
Laughter. 1 part medicine, 2 parts relief.
You know, too often I think people think we're a 1300 number at the bottom of a television screen. You don't do this job for the glory or the money. It's because you can provide some comfort to people when they're in the worst situation that they'll probably face in their life.
Irene is overwhelmed with gratitude.
But I can't tell you how thrilled I am that there was no need for a medivac. She was able to look at me and cry in relief instead of crying in despair.
As dramatically as it began, it's ended just as smoothly. Irene's out of immediate danger and in safe hands. But who knows how long it will be before she's able to leave hospital and play with her grandkids again. Back in Bangkok.
Hi, Sharon. It's Julie calling from the Australian Embassy in Bangkok.
Julie's on the phone to Rob's sister in Australia,
I'm well. How
hoping
are
to
you?
persuade her to give Rob the money he needs to get home.
Now, okay, so we just need to discuss Rob, obviously.
Sailor Rob's in hot water.
Because he's overstayed his visa for so long, he pays a visa overstay fine when he gets to the airport. If he didn't do that and if he gets picked up by the police in the meantime, then, you know, he'll basically be locked up.
She sounds pleased that we know where he is and he's safe. But, you know, there is that sigh in the voice. She's been burnt before, I think, with Rob, you know, asking for things from her. So it's, it's not an easy decision for her.
So, what did she decide? $1,800 is a big ask. Julie visits Rob at his hostel to update him.
We've got some good news.
And some bad news?
No, some good news and some good news.
Oh, good.
Your family have agreed to pay for the money that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Happy with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Excellent news.
Oh,
You've got a family that have come through.
There's no high five from Rob. Turns out he's found a new rainbow to chase. No, it's not another bar girl, but an old business partner.
He wants me to go to Hong Kong, meet him in Hong Kong, go to China. He's going to arrange my visa in Hong Kong and try and resurrect a little bit of the plastics industry.
Yep.
What?
Okay.
Resurrecting the
Ladies'
plastics
understand
industry
that, but
should be the least of Rob's concerns right now.
How does that work with flights, though? Because, like, your family have agreed to give you flights that will, you know, get you back to Australia because that's what you said you wanted to do.
I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, because I haven't spoken to them, but they're not going to...
I'll go to Australia first and then come to Hong Kong later. I don't want to upset them again.
Yeah, but...
Or so he says.
As soon as
Has
you
the
can
thought
get
of
to
being
the
black
office.
banned from Thailand dampen his enthusiasm to return home?
All right.
Coming up,
One of the statements, from the family was this will be the last time.
the flight is booked, the ticket paid for.
This is getting a bit too uncomfortable.
So where is Sailor Rob?
Cutting it too fine.
It's D-Day for Sailor Rob. He's booked on an afternoon flight back to Australia. Julie and colleague B are all set to escort him to the airport. Rob's due to arrive any minute.
I'm kind of glad it's coming to an end. He's down on his luck and, he's had a bit of a rough trot.
When we see Rob to the airport and get him back to Australia, it's a bit of an end of a journey for all of us, really.
But an hour later, B and Julie are still twiddling their thumbs. Could he have been picked up and arrested by police for overstaying his visa? B rings Rob's guest house to check on his whereabouts.
The owner of the guest house said he left at 7 o'clock.
That was 4 hours ago.
Left the key at one of her staff. Didn't even say goodbye.
It's not looking good. Another relationship and another bridge burnt to smithereens.
I don't think the family are going to foot the money again. They were very, generous in doing it this time. And, yeah, one of the statements, from the family was this will be the last time.
Well, it's 11:45 now. It will take 45 minutes to the airport. If we leave now, get there by 12:30, that's an hour and a half before flight. So...
I'm dreading sending his family the email, hey?
This is getting a bit too uncomfortable.
Yeah, cutting it too fine.
Who knows why Rob's a no-show?
I feel a bit annoyed. I think just more so because I didn't see it coming. If he has done a run, it's a very, very stupid thing to do.
All Julie can do is let the family know and send Rob a gentle email.
It is a definite fear that that Rob has gone back to his love interest. He left on bad terms. He left, under the cover of darkness. Yeah, so it could potentially be quite bad for him.
He needs to get in contact with us because, as we're aware, he doesn't have any money and he disappeared now.
And so ends another day in paradise, where love turns lives upside down. Sam and Sandra avoided a prison sentence, but they were still deported for teaching without a permit. Thailand is a lost dream for them. But they're making new lives together in Sandra's hometown in Germany. They plan to get married later this year. Grandma Irene spent 2.5 weeks in hospital. She's back on her feet again and doting on her grandkids. As for Sailor Rob, the surprises just keep on coming. He eventually got in touch with the embassy from a Buddhist monastery. His family was informed and they agreed to help him one last time by paying for his flight to Australia. Again. Rob's now in Western Australia. Next week on The Embassy.
It's not an open and shut case. There's lots of holes in what they've done.
Shackled to the bone, while his mum and dad plead for mercy.
We're 72 years old. When we die, we don't see our youngest son in prison.
Don't know where, don't know when.
James's missing passport secret.
He's young, he's nice, but there is more to James than meets the eye.
Backfires.
You're in a little trouble here because you lied about your passport.
His lungs weren't formed properly. He had to be in the humidity crib for a couple of weeks breathing oxygen.
And baby Aubrey. He beat all the odds.
Oh my God, is he even going to make it?
But can Mum get him home to Australia?